believe that creating communities of... What I was also convinced of was that probably the biggest impact I could have would be to support and convene and engage and partner with the next generation of leaders. Because there's only one of me. And there's only one Michelle. And if we're going to solve all these problems and seize all these opportunities, then the most important thing we can do is to figure out how do we continually duplicate ourselves so that we have thousands of activists and leaders, and then tens of thousands, and then hundreds of thousands, and then millions of people who are working on behalf of the values and causes that we so deeply believe in. Countries in the international order, here in Berlin, we have to recognize... We have to find ways to have a humane, intelligent, thoughtful, orderly immigration process that is grounded in our better selves and our better values. And we're going to have to figure out how do we make the people who are already in a country feel comfortable with newcomers. And that requires education and exposure and reducing fear on the part of people who are already there. It also requires some levels of adaptation from the people who are coming in. That will be able to come up with the solutions that we need. Not just... There was a time where the Irish and Jews and Italians, they weren't considered white. They were considered aliens, foreigners. Then they got absorbed. Now, black folks never got absorbed, right? That took a little bit longer. And so some of the assimilation that inevitably takes place is going to take a little bit longer, but some of those principles still apply, and I worry sometimes when, as we think about how to deal with the immigration issue, we think that any moves towards assimilation of the existing, of newcomers to the existing culture is somehow a betrayal or a denial of people's heritage or what have you.
Their problems, it started as a business, just like turning parents' love stories into bedtime stories.
The end of my presidency, and I knew that I wanted to catch up. Habits of participation and voting and involvement. There's a direct correlation between people who start early and young and what they do in adulthood. And if we are teaching young people their power early, they will sustain that power over the long term. I mean, it's Michelle and I talk about with our daughters. Yeah, we were actually relatively strict parents, I have to confess, in the sense that we tried to give them structure, but we always would talk to them as if they were adults, as if they weren't stupid.
I'm from Sweden, with Somali background. I really admire you. I know the night you were elected, I was in Sweden.
You know, the Friday movement that's been taking place around climate change is, you know, so a lot of those people can't vote, right? They're too young to vote yet, but they know what's going on, and they're making change. And those habits that, and that sense of power that they're developing now, that's going to carry over for the rest of their lives. We all know casting a ballot is just the start.